Hi, welcome to the Get Ready with God podcast. My name is Julie Taylor and I am your host, and I am not God. Obviously, I'm not an expert. I'm not even a scriptorian. I'm literally just a girl sitting in front of a microphone, hoping God is real. The Get Ready with God podcast is the daily devotional podcast to help you see divinity in every day. I'd like to start this episode with something that we don't usually do, which is a fit check. And if you're listening, you can't see me, so I'm going to describe it to you. I'm wearing the most comfortable sweat set I've ever owned in my life. And I want to tell you this because I bought it last minute. And the whole reason that I bought it is because when I do things when I'm exhausted, sometimes the way I motivate myself to get through it is like buying a really comfortable pajama set or sweat set or matching set that I know that I can put on and climb into my bed. There is nothing better than that for me. Anyway, so I grabbed myself this from a brand I had never heard of. I'm going to try to tag them on Instagram. I think it's called Milk Stain. I had never heard of them because shame on me. I have not taken it off. I need to wash it at some point. I take it off in the morning. I fold it. I put it back on at night over and over. And I'm lying. I don't fold it. We all know that's not who I am. Anyways, I'm obsessed with it. And it's not sponsored. I'm going to have to find them on Instagram. You need one. And I wanted to share that with you. So Milk Stain. I'll tag them on Instagram. Go find me over there. And then my beanie, I would just like to announce this is my new personality. I bought this pack of like 5 neon beanies off Amazon. I think it was like $5 or $10 for a pack of 5. So you can do the math. And they're all neon. And I don't know. They're my whole new personality. I've been wearing them constantly. So this is who I am now. I hope that if you're listening, I've given you a good visual. If you're watching, don't I look good? Don't I look good? Don't I look comfortable? Don't you want this? Nothing is sponsored. I'm too lazy for affiliate links, but I do believe in you that you can find these links, and I might link them on Instagram if I remember. Anyways, I love you. You deserve to be comfortable, and I wanted to share that as a little PSA. The real topic of the episode today is failure, actually. And it's interesting because I already had written in my notes, I want to talk about failure because I want to talk about it in a way of like, we never let anything be framed as a failure. And I know why that is because the reality of failure is that you learn from it and that you grow from it and that it's good for you. And it's part of the natural process of progression of life. And so inherently, it is like not possible to fail because something always comes out of it, if you want to look at it that way. But I'm a little bit fatigued of like putting a constant spin on things. And maybe that's because I work in marketing. But why are we so afraid of just something being a fail? Like, why are we so afraid to just admit, hey, that didn't go well. That didn't work. That was a fail. And I've been thinking a lot about this. And then I was in a podcast interview for work, actually, and I don't usually join my work podcast, but I bullied myself into this because I was so interested in the person that we were talking to. Her name is Karen Adderson, and the episode will come out in February, so stay tuned. I'll let you know when you should listen to that one because she was a genius. But she said something, and I'd already kind of been thinking about this failure concept, and I had it written in my notes. And then she said something that I have not been able to stop thinking about, and that is she's talking about parenting and do-overs. And she said, we love to tell our kids that it's okay to fail, but we never model that for them. And that just like hit me so deeply because I had already been thinking about this. And I just thought how true it was. Like, we love to say like failure's okay and it's okay. But how often do we see people fail? How often do we let ourselves fail? I just think we need to fail. And I think we need to call it a fail. And I think we need to learn to build resiliency from coming back from those failures. And if we're so afraid, if we're so fragile, if our egos and our emotional stability is so fragile that we can't even accept that sometimes we fail, I worry about us. That's all. That's all I'm saying. And so to me, and I'm always a person where I don't like to feel managed. And so I would rather you just like tell me the reality than try to like sugarcoat it or spin it or like just tell me what's going on and then I'll handle it. Trust me to handle it. And I think this pet peeve of mine might come from being a youngest child because I'm the youngest by a significant age gap. And I do feel like my whole life, it was like I could observe adult things happening in my home, but then everyone would give me like the Julie version of it. Like, oh, because Julie's just little and Julie's small. And I love them for it. I love them for trying to soften the blow for me. But I'm not dumb and I can observe. And I think that's the other thing that I have gained a pet peeve of in like corporate America and in religion is like people aren't dumb. So like, let's just tell them the truth. How about we just tell them the truth? They're not dumb. They can observe what's going on. And so when you try to like gaslight them or twist the narrative or sugarcoat it or pad it or manage them, I find it very offensive. I find it insulting to my intelligence and I don't like it. And so I think we can all psychoanalyze me as part of this podcast, but it's for a lot of reasons. But the common denominator is in every one of these aspects, in all aspects of my life, I just want you to give me the reality and trust me to be able to handle it. And that's what I want. And so when we're constantly twisting the narrative around failure, I just worry that we're not building the resilience that we need or accepting the reality that we're in. And it really cheapens our opportunity for growth from that failure. And then when this woman said this on that podcast interview last week, I thought, yeah, and we're not modeling it. We love to say it's okay to fail, but not just for our kids. Who is showing us that it's okay to fail? Because by my summation, every time someone fails, they get ridiculed or there's these really harsh consequences for a failure. So in what way is it okay to fail? Where are we modeling that it's okay to fail? And don't worry. I have a tie-in because this is the Get Ready with God podcast. We're going to talk about God because I think at the very root of all of this is one of my biggest epiphanies around faith that I've had in rebuilding it these last few years is that God intends for us to fail. It's actually part of the plan. And people love to say that. They love to say that Jesus Christ died for our sins. They love to say that there's redeeming power. They love to say all of these things. But that's not actually what's modeled. What's modeled is don't sin, don't screw up. And if you do, your worth might be affected. I'm not saying that's what's modeled everywhere, but somewhere along the line, that's the messaging that I picked up. And maybe that's on me. I'm not trying to call anyone out. But when I've been rebuilding my faith these last 4-ish years, it's been really encouraging to me to really come to the belief and understanding that failure, screwing up, doing it wrong, is an essential part of coming to Jesus Christ and to involving God in our lives. It's essential. It's not just okay, it's actually essential. And so if we're always walking on eggshells of don't screw up, and if you do something wrong, it affects your worth and you're bad, we're playing the wrong game. And the game we should be playing is building our confidence in our worth being unchangeable and building our resilience to be able to come back and rebuild after we fail, to build our stability and our capacities enough to say, so that was a fail, let's keep going. Instead of, well, that wasn't a fail because I learned and I grew and we all make mistakes. All of that is true, sure. But I think God wants us to screw up. I mean, okay, maybe don't quote that one. I don't know that he wants us to screw up. He knows we're going to, though. And he always has known that. And that is the plan. And maybe he does want us, because when I think about my own kids, I don't want them to screw up. I want them to make good choices. I want them to choose things that are going to give them an easier life, because I want life to be easy for them. But I always question that, because do I really want life to be easy for them? Because what does an easy life yield? Not great things. Not great things. We need the resilience and the depth and the grit that comes from screwing up, from learning accountability and recovery, from learning to involve Jesus Christ in our return, in our rebuild, in our resilience. That's actually the whole point. So just don't be afraid to say it was a fail. Do you know the first test I ever took in college? I was a 4.0 insane, overachieving, crazy person. And then I went to college and I walked out of the testing center and I went to a religious school, and it was a religion test of a faith that I had been my whole entire life. And I got a 42% on that test. I had never so much as gotten an 80 on a test, rarely below a 92, 93, because 93 was the A- cutoff, right? I was so neurotic about grades, and I walked out of that first test and I got a 42. And I was humbled. I was devastated. And from that point forward, I got a lot more used to failing. And you know what? It was good for me. It was a fail. I failed. Okay? I failed. I didn't go on to never fail another test. I failed many tests in college. People say C's get degrees, D's get degrees. Maybe that's why I didn't go to med school. Pre-med without the med school. But you know what? I've done okay for myself. Love ya. Bye.